Let's face the truth. If you're a buyer in this market, you're a bit over a barrel. I'm Mary Schumann. I'm a realtor in Minneapolis, and I make videos every week to help people who are thinking of buying or selling in the Twin Cities metro area. If you have questions and you're watching on a mobile device, click the title of my video and my contact information is in the description box down below. Or you can leave a message and I'll respond to you that way. Last summer, I did a video about winning as a buyer in a seller's market, and I thought it was bad then. And I was right, but I was also wrong. I really didn't conceive of how much harder things would get for buyers, and I have all of my fingers and my toes crossed, hoping that things get easier soon for buyers, because I represent a lot of them. The only way that this is going to get easier is if more people decide to put their homes on the market. So if you've been thinking about listing your home, now is the time. You may not even have to show it to anyone. I have sold homes sight unseen. So new construction is also an option for people that want to buy a home, but at the same time, demand for that is really high as well. And the builder will be more than happy to take a contract now and begin to dig in September, October, or later. Right now, if you're trying to get an existing home, you have something like a 65% chance of not having your offer accepted. And that's if you're in a good position, well qualified, and throw everything you have at it. At our team meeting today, we were talking about this subject, and people are saying things like 37 offers, 25 offers on a single listing in just a couple of days. So how can you possibly win in a situation like that? Sellers are looking at a spreadsheet of offers. What's going to make yours stand out in this crowd? List price is not going to do it. Someone in my meeting said that one of the questions that they now ask every buyer is, what can you bring to the table that no one else can? What's going to make you stand out from the crowd? And at a certain point, you can't throw any more money at the problem. You have to get creative. Examples that she gave of things that were sweeteners that made the sellers select their offer over others were things like tickets to a Packers game, a weekend at their cabin, stuff like that. So I know this is ridiculous on some level. This should be about getting a fair price and good terms for a home. It should not be the Hunger Games. But it is the Hunger Games. So if you understand this going in, you actually may have a shot at winning instead of making offer after offer and not winning, growing discouraged, getting frustrated, and possibly becoming homeless in the process. I hope that doesn't happen. So the seller holds all the cards, and it's important that you have an agent that will speak with the listing agent and find out what is important to that seller before you write the offer. In addition, you should be picking an agent that will do their best to give a thorough, clean, organized offer to the listing agent. You're putting your best foot forward in all ways. Think about being on their side and receiving 37 offers and trying to make sense of all of them and helping the sellers know what's going to fit them best. Your agent should be demonstrating that they're on top of things, organized, and they're going to help create a smooth transaction. When you make an offer on a property, there will be several things that you have to decide on, and I'm going to give you a list of the fundamentals, but you have to go beyond that. So, in a balanced market or in a buyer's market, you would not have to throw absolutely everything at the wall to see what sticks. But we're in a market that is firmly in the seller's favor, and you have to ask yourself, what am I not willing to do to get this property? So let's look at the 10 variables that are in nearly every contract and how you can best be positioned to win. So number one is price. In this market, the price is not the price. The price listed is the floor. If you find a magical property with no other offers, you may be able to get away with list price. Even when I think I've found one of these, I still encourage an escalation clause that will bump my buyer's offer over the net price of the next highest offer in the event that one or more come in between when we submit our offer and when they evaluate the offer with the seller. So you need to understand what the maximum amount of money you are willing to pay for a particular property, and then make sure that number is in there. And know that if you don't get the property, you did as much as you possibly could price-wise, and price is the number one consideration. But it isn't everything. So let's talk about number 2, which is earnest money. In Minnesota, it's normal and typical to give 1% of the purchase price for earnest money. In this market, you want to demonstrate seriousness by giving more. You can pick a lump sum or decide on a percentage. In normal circumstances, this is refundable if the purchase agreement is canceled because it doesn't meet some sort of contingency, inspection, financing, or something like that. Some clients are designating an amount as non-refundable, basically a no-lose proposition for the seller. Number 3 is financing. There is no offer without a pre-approval from a reputable bank, not a pre-qualification, a pre-approval. Without some sort of statement that you can actually execute on the contract, your offer will be placed directly into the trash bin. The most desired form of financing is conventional, and the reason for this is that there are no FHA or VA appraisers that may find inspection issues with a home. It is one less potential hurdle to a successful closing. Conventional financing has some misconceptions. Many people think that means that you have to have 20% to put down. You do not have to have a 20% down payment to get conventional financing. So you should talk to a loan officer about what your options are. Speaking of down payment, having a large one available is also a bonus. It shows financial health and stability, and again, gives the seller a feeling of comfort that the sale will actually close. Not everyone can do it, but if you can, a cash deal carries weight. It's one less contingency that has to be cleared before the transaction can close. If you do have the means, you're going to have to include proof of the funds with your offer in the form of a statement or a screenshot of an account with relevant account numbers removed from the image. Number 4 is close date. Sometimes this is an important criteria for a seller, and if you have the flexibility to meet that date, it's certainly a factor in their decision making. Number 5 is written statement. So when you write a purchase agreement, it has an option to indicate that the lender will supply a written statement to the seller that the loan is basically approved and ready to go. So having this written statement date in your offer is another thing that strengthens your position. Listing agents are going to be looking for that, and not having it is a point of weakness. Number 6 is inspection. This one is a biggie. Inspection periods are being reduced to very short time periods, like 3 to 5 days instead of what was typically a 10-day period as recently as like a year ago. Buyers are waiving inspections completely or putting in writing that they will not ask for any repairs under X dollar amount in value. You're taking that risk either mostly or entirely off the seller. I would be selective on the homes that I chose to do this with if it were me, but some homes you walk into and just feel a relative sense of comfort, while others you walk into and kind of feel that there's work that probably needs to be done. If the surface isn't good, the subsurface probably isn't much better. A question to ask yourself when you're considering inspections and their value to you as a home buyer is to think about what information they give you and what would make you walk away from the home. Home inspections can give you a certain amount of information, but even they are only a snapshot. They're not a guarantee. If you found that you needed a $1,000 fix, would you walk away, or would it take more than that? If they find that an appliance is broken or on its last legs and will need replacing soon, would that be enough? If so, you're probably not buying the right property if you're basing it on the appliances. I'm saying this because if you waive inspection and find a $1,000 or $5,000 fix after you move in, will you still be happy that you bought the home, or will you regret your purchase? If it means that you'll not get the home if you're in competition with someone that removes this contingency completely, are you okay with that? Number 7 is appraisal. Because list price is basically the floor right now, sellers are getting large sums of money over asking price, and that raises questions about meeting appraisal value if the home is being financed. In the past, buyers and sellers would likely meet somewhere in the middle, with the seller reducing their price and the buyer bringing a little bit more money, or the seller may reduce their price, but that's no longer the case. Now, buyers need to give a guarantee that they can make up the difference in cash if the appraisal comes in low. This is one reason why a high down payment is important. If it comes down to it, the amount financed can be higher, and that money can be used, the down payment money, to make up the difference on the appraisal. Many of my sales in the past year have had appraisals waived by the bank because they can see that the value of the home is there by looking at neighborhood statistics. But if the other sales don't support this, an appraisal will still happen. Number 8 is common interest community rescission period. So this only applies if you're buying into a community with an HOA. In Minnesota, if you buy into a neighborhood that has an HOA, you are entitled to a 10-day right of rescission period from the point at which you have received the last HOA document. On a recent offer, the agent came back and said that not only did they want the inspection waived, but they wanted it in writing that the right of rescission on the docs would be reduced to 3 days instead of 10. Number 9, closing costs. In a buyer's market, we often ask for a seller to contribute to the buyer's closing costs, and that is a no right now. The only way that could exist at all is to raise the offer price to cover that difference. In fact, on a listing that I had, the buyer paid the seller's government closing fees. No one had ever heard of that before, and now I'm seeing agents mention it all the time. Pretty soon we're going to be paying for their moving vans. All right, so number 10 and the last one is home warranty. This one, well, a home warranty is between like $500 and $700. It's not something that you're going to ask the seller for at this point. One thing you can do is purchase one of your own, and if you've waived inspection, this could be a little piece of insurance to cover yourself and buy some peace of mind for approximately the same price as an inspection. So that's the hard truth about buying in this market. Are you ready to get in the mix? Or better yet, thinking of selling? Now's the time. You dictate the terms. Thanks for watching. See you next week.